For Upload for allowing us to use this space. My name is Chris Smith. I'm one of the organizers of this group, as well as Alex here and Liz, who's somewhere around. Oh, there she is. So just a quick bit, if you're tweeting at NonGamingVR and hashtag NonGamingVR, feel free to tweet. Also, the next meetup, just before I forget about it, is June 21st. So after this, if you want to find it, we'll put it on Meetup. So the question is sort of like, why this meetup? Why this group? What are we doing? Why is it this terrible name, Non-Gaming VR? Because it's so clear, and whenever I was getting into VR about 5-6 months ago, I was looking on Reddit, looking for things, and every top post was always like gaming oriented. And I was like, I don't want to do gaming stuff. I want to do real world VR applications. And so non-gaming VR it is until we change the name. And our mission is really to connect people, to help people start VR businesses, and ultimately because VR has the power to be a really transformational technology to really impact billions of people's lives. And so maybe a quick show of hands, like how many people in the audience are engineers? And how many are entrepreneurs? And how many are working in VR? And how many investors? Any investors here? One. How many people want to start a business in VR but currently are not? Haven't done it yet. Awesome. So, like our goal is just to bring people together, to connect, and to help people start businesses, to use this technology to change the world. And so it's a meetup for builders, focused on real-world applications. And my friend Damon Hernandez said something at the first meetup, which was, basically it's just time to stop thinking in terms of gaming. Virtual reality is about to encompass all of reality. All of our entire world, our existence is getting digitized. And so let's speed that up. And create a VR hive mind. So the first set of things we're going to do is have some lightning talks. These are the 5-minute talks with 5 people. We'll talk about real estate, talk about markets beyond gaming, AI, some research projects, and education. And with that, I'd like to invite Emily Ullman to come up and give her talk.
I'm the founder of a company called Hopscotch Interactive, and I started the company last year because I was really interested in the power of 3D, originally the power of 3D to help people visualize spaces. And so my background, really briefly, my background is in media and advertising sales, and I worked in the video game industry and in the Japanese anime industry. I monetized new media, such as video on demand, and so I was unbelievably excited when I discovered the power of VR, AR, 360, 3D for marketing. So, Extraordinary Spaces, my clients right now range from luxury real estate to event spaces, and those could be wedding venues, those could be any venues where somebody's trying to get somebody to imagine a space. Extraordinary artists, I've worked with artists in their studios, such as this bike zoo, which brings sort of the endangered species the endangered species plight to a greater audience, to generate awareness down in New Orleans. So there are not just causes, there are not just spaces, but there are causes that are helped with VR and 3D. So I also work actually with funeral homes. I work with people from any kind of space, but they all have a lot of things in common, things that you wouldn't really imagine right off the bat, and that's that it's extremely hard to visualize space if you're not standing there. And for many of my clients, market seasonality is a huge issue. So if it's winter, it's just not going to look amazing in a space, and there's nothing you can really do about that. And so that's where some of this new technology is helping. Remote viewing is difficult. You have to be there. You can Skype, but that's not really the same thing. And photos are not georelational. You have no idea what's outside of that frame. So even video sometimes falls short because it's being directed by somebody else. These are fiercely competitive markets. If you talk about real estate alone, you're talking about $1.3 trillion transacting in the US every year. Wedding events business, $72 billion. Cemetery funerals, that's another $20 billion. So there's a lot of money at stake there, very competitive, and time is money. You want to sell as fast as you can. So what VR solves to my clients is that you have first-person visualization. So you're in the driver's seat, the client is able to, well, my client is the venue, and then their clients are the people that will be buying or who are interested in these services or the spaces. And so they're able to step into the space. And much like we were so excited about 10 or 15 years ago, there's this ability to time shift. So you can be experiencing a space out of the time of in the same way that video on demand really revolutionized watching television. It's the same thing for spaces now. So place shifting. These are what I think are the biggest sort of killer apps, if you will. Is that this is the experience of somebody who is experiencing VR to visualize. Relational 360 experience. They're impactful and persuasive. And the thing is that I have a marketing and media services company. And so I use Matterport, I use Rico Theta, I use a bunch of different vendors. I'm experimenting with some new vendors. I'm totally media and platform agnostic because at the end of the day, I will make money if my clients make money. So I'm trying to help them sell. And so that's what it's all about. It's about ROI, and is your client going to see a return on their investment in the media that you're creating for them? So here's what I've learned. Clients, they want to scale, and we're not quite there yet. Some media is easier to scale than others, but what I'm using is still sort of like do it yourself or have somebody else do it for you, but it's a slow process. And I'm getting a lot of calls actually for larger B2B projects, and so that's great because it gives me the opportunity to work with bigger clients and to tackle large networks of properties. But the irony, of course, is that VR, I can sell with it, but you still have to experience VR to know that VR is awesome. So we kind of have this chicken and egg thing. And in my experience so far, there's no one VR platform that solves it for everything. You really have to kind of test and see and understand what your client needs. But the business is viable, and that's proven by the customer response. They are able to make better sales by using what I'm giving to them. And experimentation and collaboration are best. So I have the most fun when working with other people and trying to figure out how we can all create amazing new things together.
Awesome, thank you. Do you have a demo?
Am I going to demo?
Did you mention the Gear VR?
Yeah, Gear VR. So so Gear VR is if I'm creating VR for Matterport or with Matterport, then I'm using the Gear VR. Absolutely. So and I will demo that. I can show you guys. I can show you a cemetery after this that I did in VR. So I'd love to have folks come up to me and check that out. So
what was your inspiration in jump into this business personally?
Well, I think that it was sort of the experience of looking at. I looked, for instance, at Matterport, regular Matterport 3D, and when I viewed it in VR, it was like, oh my gosh, I felt like it was like 1994 again, and it was like the beginning of when I was first in the video game industry, and there was so much excitement and there was so much potential, and I immediately saw how the marketing potential was huge, and also it was like, wait, I can make this? I'm going to be a part of making something? That I think that made me feel really excited about creating things in VR. So.
What were some of the very early challenges, just like getting started? Like, that you had to overcome?
I think that, like any new business, I think that, it's like sometimes you feel like you're all by yourself and you don't know who to talk to. And so I actually feel like the VR community has been the most supportive, and I feel like that's been one of the best things that's come out of this is discovering that the VR community in the East Bay and now in San Francisco, that people are really trying to help people succeed. So.
Awesome. Any questions from the audience?
How did you get your first customers or your first clients?
So my first clients came from basically word of mouth through, I actually wanted, in the beginning, I just wanted to test it out, and I asked friends if I could scan their spaces. And then I built a website, and then now I'm getting calls because people are finding me, and I actually don't even know how they're finding me. So that's great, right? So it's working. Whatever I'm doing is working. Yeah. But getting first clients is really tricky. But I think showing that you've done something and being willing to try doing anything is helpful.
You one more, and just quickly up here.
I have the same question.
Awesome. One more. Blue shirt in the middle.
Thank you so much. Great talk. I'm curious, what sort of technology you use to scan? How do you handle the boundaries, I guess?
The boundaries. Well, so with, for instance, Matterport, I can talk about Matterport because with photography, there's really no boundary. I mean, with Matterport, I handle it by sometimes following the rules and sometimes not following the rules. I think that, they don't support, for instance, scanning out of doors, scanning outside. So because it's measuring the space with the infrared laser, you run into some issues with that. But again, it's just experimentation. And also telling your clients, hey, this might not work. So let's try it. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, we'll try something else. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
That's great.
Hi everyone, I'm Greg with D-Sky VR. And Liz, Ray, thank you for asking me to speak tonight. So we've got some intelligence from working the field for many years about real-world VR markets transcending games. So my background is from theme park attraction design, and so we were kind of using 3D models and novel interaction technologies for the last 12 years, and we're really excited to get into VR, where you can essentially have a theme park experience and place it in your pocket. Where we come from is designing experiences, of which games are a very small subset. So what I'd like to do is kind of compare experiences and experience design to game design. So the components of experiences are like life. It's at a reasonable pace. There's a natural ebb and flow of where your heart rate escalates and then you get calm and your heart rate escalates again. It's all in 360 3D. It's natural and it's around you. It's not in a frame. You are always in it. You are fully engaged, at least most of us are. Graphics equal presence. So you are present and anchored in the space. That's life, that's experiences. In games, it's generally, and these are AAA games, a fast twitch experience. So it's fast reflexes, and games really like to pump your adrenaline. Car racing games, combat games. They're in the past, they've been framed in a 2D window. The user can look away if they find discomfort, and it kind of has a degree of detachment to it. If you wreck a car in a classic 2D video game, it doesn't feel that bad. If you wreck myself in this middle room today, it's a conceptually accurate model of the solar system with very high resolution NASA texture maps and data about each of the planets. This is an application that we're working on with some augmented reality companies, basically manipulation of 3D models and design for both game designers and the automotive aerospace industry. So looking at the models in 3D space collaboratively. When we do 3D design, generally I'd say about 75% of our time is angling the model in the right orientation so that we can do our work on it. And that's just naturally already done in 3D. This is a chemistry lab that we built exploring periodic table of the elements. If you'd like to follow up with me, this is our website. Many of our applications are downloadable for Gear, Oculus, and HTC. And that's my email address. Thank you.
Where are you seeing the easiest adoption? And even it looks like you're working in a bunch of different spaces. Like, who are the easiest customers to sell to, or the ones that adopted organically?
I think the easiest ones to sell to currently are people already in the space, agencies. There are a number of agencies, experiential agencies, as well as larger ad agencies that are doing explorations for their clients. And then in the industrial space, when those clients become accessible, they're kind of picky, but when they talk to you, they throw down big budgets.
Awesome. And what does a D-Sky world look like? You guys execute on your vision.
A D-Sky world, when we execute on our vision, we put a high priority on both agency and fun. So agency is about giving people empowerment to their actions. It's a lot about hands. So we're using the Vive controllers, and we're a huge advocate of HTC for shipping those with the product. We'll be ready for Oculus when the Touch comes out. And we're experimenting with Leap Motion, although we do prefer physical controllers. And the world also looks like we're building, and there are many people out there, Unity and Unreal and us and many other developers are building kind of framework components. It's our dream that designers, much like WordPress did for the web, that designers will be able to create VR without having 100 engineers on their staff. So we're building those framework components that take care of calibration, menuing systems, avatar representation, all those foundations that every single VR app needs, and giving those to designers and creators.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks, Chris.
Do you develop your own language, basically, or are you working off of Unity or A-Frame or something like that?
We develop primarily in Unity, in C#. Yeah, we have some experiments in Unreal, but our projects to date have been pretty optimized for Unity.
When you say that you've developed for AR and for people that are editing 3D content, how do you deal with the 3D content being in real space? Because oftentimes you can see it and it's just kind of floating in front of you. Whereas if you were working on a clay model, it's positioned in the real space and it's assigned to something. So how would you do it? Would you attach it via like a marker? Would you do sort of depth scan? Do you lock it in, or does it just kind of float in abstract space?
It's a really good question. I'll answer it in two parts. First, it's absolutely anchored to Realspace. So just as a clay model on like a dolly would be, if stuff is not anchored to 2D or to Realspace, then it's not very useful, right? So it's using a variety of technologies, primarily the lighthouse trackers. We also, as you mentioned, use fiducials. We have a library for that. So if you want, you can have a symbolic representation. The interesting thing that happens once it is in Realspace is how do you manipulate it? So we tried single hand things and found out that the range of motion of a single hand extended is actually far more limited than you might imagine from movies. So two hands tends to be a better thing for scaling, rotation, and translation. But these are just, we're building, and the world will build a gesture vocabulary of how to best manipulate 3D objects from both a designer and a consumer standpoint.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Thanks, Chris.
Basically, we use AI to create interactive characters for storytelling and media in VR. Our character is unique with the ability to have long-term relationships with their human companions. So I wanted to start off and give a visual overview of the landscape of VR non-gaming. I adapted this landscape from a gentleman named Kent Bai. Those of you who don't know him, he's the one that does the Voices of VR podcast. It's an amazing resource for VR applications in practically every industry, and I highly recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. So we're going to be in this quadrant. So here's my focus of what's going to be tonight, more specifically the interaction and intersection between movies and games. So a little history of us. We started Rabbit Theory back in 2011. We're working in the video game industry. We immediately started working for the AI engine in Unity that has over 80,000 developers at the moment. After that, we found ourselves expanding far beyond video games and more broadly into entertainment. We worked with Hollywood to make studios to help create virtual AI-driven actors for dinosaurs. We worked in advertising marketing to help create character-centric interactive experiences on the streets of New York and Los Angeles. And then we even created a project of virtual and augmented reality, including a project that became a theme park attraction for NBC Universal. So right now, we're focusing on AI to create interactive characters for storytelling. And we're going to go over what makes a great story. So Pixar seems to have a really good idea on what makes a really great story. Everyone can definitely attest to that. So this is going to be on the test later. So for the purposes of time, a lot of these do not apply, a lot of these do apply. But for the purposes of time, I'd like to go over just one of them. That's going to be this one. Identify. It reads, you got to identify with the situations and characters. You can't just write cool. What would make you act in a certain way? So when we write a story, we ask ourselves, what would make me act in this way, in this situation? If you get that right, it adds a lot of layers, a lot of depth to the character, and allows the audience to really connect with the story and with the characters in the situation. It does not translate well to virtual reality. The challenge of the VR storyteller is control, or rather lack thereof. A traditional director has complete control over the angle, the shot, the dialogue, the flow, and the intention. Simply put, they have control over action and reaction. Okay, so let's combine games and film into what I'm actually talking about here, and allow the character and audience to become one. So we're creating something called interactive cinema. And I don't know, coin that or something, whatever. You can't, VR only hits its full potential whenever it's interactive. My company's taking the problems of building interactive, human-like characters integrating human-like characters into virtual reality. The characters that reflect real-life responses to voice, recognition, gestures, gaze, distance, and other VR inputs. Characters that can ask you questions and you can respond, essentially pulling you into their world. Essentially, we're creating digital actors. Now that we have a new type of actor, what do we do with it? Well, a new type of director is needed for storytelling techniques that are not listed in Pixar's rules and techniques, to establish control and maintain a control that doesn't feel forced. The VR director has to give the participant the illusion of freedom to influence the narrative, all while telling a cohesive story. The VR storyteller is challenged to reimagine techniques that manipulates the participant's action and reaction. A simple example would be when a magician lets you pick any card. He knows exactly what's going to happen, but he gives you the illusion of choice. Another one would be a doorbell ringing, or something like, "Look over there!" Like 4 of you looked. I saw it. This is something really cheap. So the mindset switches from not what would make me do something, but how can I make them do something? So here's where we started. At Rabbit Theory, we were experimenting with building these characters in a platform of control on multiple levels, with our AI VR director and AI characters in the scene. So in this demonstration, to showcase a new type of content, we created Elise, you're seeing there. Elise's story is that you play a pinnacle role as the participant in her journey to join the underground female spy network of World War II. The year's 1940s, the setting is France. I'm going to give you a sneak peek.
guys hear that okay in the back?
I remember when we first met. At every encounter since. Remember how we talked. Every word. Every glance.
We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air.
I remember every adventure. Every triumph. I remember you.
So while we make the characters, have as much fidelity and interaction as a human possibly can, or that our AIs possibly can, human-like interaction and human-like traits. We need storytellers, we need directors, we need people that can reimagine new techniques of gaining control and manipulating attention in a way that feels natural to the participant engaging in the story. And I don't think that those techniques exist yet, but I think that they will, or they have to be, because this is going to be the future of film and cinema. Any questions?
So the character in that last demonstration, how was she AI?
How is she AI?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a good question. So basically, she's AI because let's say I just take 100 lines of dialogue for an actress. So I put an actress inside of a sound booth, I take 100 lines of her dialogue, I take 100 lines of her dialogue, and I take an image of her face, and I put her in a motion capture suit. So I take all that, and I disassemble all of that human performance, and then I let the AI reassemble it into a performance in front of you. And also, she remembers everything that you talk about, every place that you're looking, everything that you don't say, how close you get, how far you get. She knows if you're polite. So she's making an opinion of you at 90 frames a second. Just like everyone else, right? Just like we are right now. And it's persistence. So she will remember you into the next time that you meet her.
Thank you so much, Nick. In the interest of time, go ahead and jump to the next one. And Nick will be around after. Next up, Klaus.
Yeah, no, he's on, that's what people should be doing. For everything. For selling real estate. Come on. So. Yeah. Nice job. It's an interesting endeavor. Nice standing on.
Hi everyone. My name is Oz.
Yeah, enjoy it.
My name is Oz Baldwin, and I'll tell you who I am. So, I'm talking about research in VR for VR. And I think this is kind of something interesting that most people don't really think about, what VR gets really used for. And so, yeah. So, who am I? Go back, yeah. One more. So who am I? I'm a cognitive scientist from UCSC. So I was emphasizing human-computer interaction because cognitive science is all about brains, computers, and how they kind of intersect together. And it has a lot of neuroscience in there, a little bit of philosophy, some anthropology, just everything that has to do with like people and how you work. And I realized that VR is the most human of the technologies, so you really need to understand yourself and how your brain works first for you to even create anything in VR. I'm the host of the Research VR podcast, and that kind of stemmed from the research that I was doing at UCSC, which I'm going to talk about a little bit. And I work here at Double O Collective, and I'm the program manager. So if you guys want a space here, come talk to me afterwards. So the research process is kind of lengthy when you're just in a university doing research. It's obviously you have to go through like approval processes. You have to talk to your professor and your grad students and like try to get them to approve the idea first and see if there's like a lot of like research done beforehand. And so like there's a lot of ideas that just don't get tested. And there's even data collection issues where you're going to have other people run your participants in these researches, and they might not be having their best day, or like the participants are just like fooling off and like doing other things, or just there's a lot of issues that happen in VR or just in the normal cognitive science research process that have arisen. And next slide, please. And VR is actually a good way to solve a lot of those problems. And so we, at my lab at UCSC, we've used it as a really good tool. So it's really good for prototyping, and this is something that comes out of say like the lean startup method, where you have an idea, you want to test it, you get some quick data out, and you see if there's something you want to pursue on like a real level. And everything is being tracked, everything from your head angle, to your hands, to where you're looking at, to where you are in the room. And these are very standardized processes that you can use across all the participants. And it doesn't matter who the person is, who's the facilitator of the research is, because the tools are all the same. So research examples. So these are kind of things that we kind of came up this year, and we had the tools to kind of prototype it and come up with some really cool ideas. So video and header orientation, that was something I was working on, where we wanted to see what video angle you'd be wanting to look at in reference to your head. Changing the horizon and zenith lines. So this was really interesting. We had someone with a wheelchair come into our lab that wanted to try out VR, but usually she sits at a kind of a backwards angle, so her headline is like facing up. So we played with the horizon line being instead of here to up here. And within 10 minutes, we noticed that we asked her like, hey, point straight up actually. Point straight up to the sky. And she pointed like this. And we're like, whoa, like we've never really noticed that you can really change someone's like horizon lines just by being able to implement something like that. And this goes beyond disabled people. This goes to like you wanting to sit in bed and wanting to play a VR game and not wanting to sit up and like, like VR is still really inconvenient. So having this prototyping tool is really good to kind of see that idea is working. Big moon illusion and left gaze bias. I don't know if I have too much time to go into these, but essentially it's just, there's all these ideas that we have, even as like undergrad students, that you can immediately build something in Unity, try it out, and get an idea, get some data, and as to like if it's working right. So which leads me to, there's a problem with research is that it gets published but gets lost in journals, at least to the mass public, right? Like academics, they like to read journals, but like it's not very accessible to the mass of people. And there's a lot of knowledge that's contained in there that people don't have access to. So, which leads me to Research VR podcast, which is what I started a couple months ago. So this is all about the research done in this field by scientists, there's actually like decades of research done about virtual reality, about your perceptual systems and how to integrate these things into creating like a good experience. So I'm working with a couple other cognitive scientists from Germany, from the University of Osnabrück, and our episode is going to deal with like taking a big concept and breaking it down for anyone to kind of like learn about their own brain and how it works, and it gives them really good ideas as to like how to kind of develop and design their VR experiences to be better. So some of the topics that we've already covered is like the big one, kind of like motion sickness. People have been dealing with this for a couple of years, and I think we've gotten a lot better at this and the theories behind it. Presence, and obviously this is like a major one for VR and what constitutes as being present. Hence, it's about kind of cognitive load and giving someone something to do in there. And the more you can kind of occupy their mind as to doing things in VR, the better, the more present they'll feel in there. Things like having another person that they can talk to, social, having even their hands in there. I think that's a really big one. User interfaces, interactions. I'm a designer, so like I like to really go into and understanding how to design things for VR instead of having a flat, menu to kind of choose from. And this was the latest one, was about time dilation and time perception. So a lot of people have been talking about being in VR and something taking their headset off and being like, whoa, like 4 hours passed? Like I had no idea. And so we were kind of looking at the research done in there, and it turns out there's actually research done on like chemotherapy patients that they were in VR, and turns out that it kind of reduced their time perception by good amounts whenever they were doing VR during their treatment. So there's a lot of really cool potential use cases for understanding these really interesting concepts and applying them to your whatever application you're trying to create. And this week we're recording a new episode about memory and dreams in VR, and I'll give you a little sneak peek into it, where people have been talking about, like, after the first week of using VR, suddenly they're getting like really lucid dreams about the experiences, about VR and all of that. And I spoke to one of like the memory professors at my university, and it turns out that whenever you're learning something new, like you go off skiing, for the first weekend ever, and your body starts to consolidate those memories, starts to consolidate those experiences, and tries to like figure out what the hell you just did so you can get better at it. And that's why you're getting these lucid dreams in VR. So we like to talk about these things, look into the research of it, and like just put it out there for the layman to know, because like academics are just so self-involved, and they don't like to make things easy for people to understand. So if you know anything about any interesting papers, any research and things about your brain, about yourself, anything in the middle, please contact me. We love reading papers and talking about them. Yeah, if you're a domain expert in this field and whatever field you are in, you'd like to see if this, you can help us out in any way, or even correct us if we made something wrong, definitely feel to reach out. And topic suggestions, we always like to take them. So this is my contact information. This is me. This is my Twitter, email, and that's the Research VR podcast. You can find us on all podcasting platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, whatever it is. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. You guys can try afterwards for questions. We'll just, in the interest of time, we'll just jump on to the next one.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Hey everybody, are you having a good time today? Yeah! So, my name is Ondřej Homola, and I am co-founder and CEO of Lifelike. I promise you today that you won't see any single slide for me, and I will be showing you 5 different demos. But a little bit before, the Lifelike vision is that interactive 3D content should be the major type of digital media in about 5 years. In order to get there, there needs to be a platform that will do the same job for real-time 3D as YouTube did for online video 10 years ago. And Lifelike mission is to be that player. We started 5 years ago. We been able to build over 1,000 interactive 3D models, which are mainly used for the K-12 sciences, and those models we got US Merced, etc. We are lucky that our product is used today in 15,000 schools around the world, and the product is bundled to HP or zSpace. But before we get into education, we try a lot of different pivots in some verticals we saw today. And also because it was very difficult to scale within those verticals, we finally end up in education, I guess like 3 years ago. So can we maybe start with the first one? So this is the AR project we did, I guess, like 4 years ago. So what it really do is that you get a target-based AR, and how it really works is that if you are pointing your device on a beer coaster, the party starts, and you just put a beer bag, there is no party anymore. So it kind of like, helps customer to get people drinking. I guess. Thanks. So we can go for the next one. Another AR project, again, couple of years old. It's a pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So you're pointing on the box of some ointment, and the 3D animation is showing what you can do with the product itself. I think there is a lot of fun, a lot of money to be made on target-based AR. I still don't see a lot of exciting ideas who are really coming out of this technology and applications. But let's switch to more the VR side. So this is a really exciting project. That's what we created in 2011. And what you see here is analog stereoscopy. And what you see is not just animation, this is video which is taken out of the engine. So, the experience was that you've been holding your iPad and you have like a 360 possibility to look around. And this was our concept about, I would guess, the VR, the music video. So we've been at the same time displaying the YouTube music and YouTube the music video on the screens. We did a lot of different testing in terms of how this technology can be effectively used. We also offered the unguided tour through the whole experience. And what we also learned is that it kind of like sucks. The people don't like to be just like exploring themselves, and they appreciate much more when the tour is guided. So, I'm coming from the Prague, Czech Republic, so the whole journey after 3 minutes ends in one of the iconic, let's say, part of the Prague. So it's kind of like Ape Planet type of joke, which we've been so excited 5 years ago. This one is really cool. So this dude here, he's my co-founder, Daniel. He was working in AAA games from the 90s. So in given point, he was kind of tired of being part of the first-person shooting games. And so what you see on the video is archaeology reconstruction. So we've been working with archaeologists on basically reconstructing the early Iron Age house. And then we've been building the whole environment around that. What we've been quite excited about, it was doing also experiments with different, applying different physics on the top of the model. We started with the most simple one, so we did kind of the flood simulation because this house was so close to one of the main rivers in Europe. So that was kind of interesting to see what 3D can do. Again, this would be super cool if we would have this experience on HTC Vive or any other device today. Next one, sir. And this is one of the technology and project we did for architecture visualizations. This is 2012. This is award-winning app. Again, it's a target-based AR, but we really did it in kind of like the smart way. At the same time, what you see, it's iPad 2. So I had the chance to see a couple of recent AR projects, and I think we've been able, even like 4 years ago, to really squeeze every single drop out of this technology. So you could even see the humans inside of the house. So that was kind of exciting experience. What I also learned is that it's not only about technology, but it's also about just being creative and thinking through how technology can be used. So people thought that, we have software which is building the technology, building the houses out of the paper. And, that time we weren't commenting that, and we knew that it will take some time before technology will be there. But it was really mind-blowing for the people to see the whole experience. So when we use the target-based AR for the previous projects, people they got the joke. But this was creating kind of the deeper thinking inside of the people brains. So this is also kind of exciting. This is more kind of technology piece. So you can see the FX. You can see the dust, which is flying around. And again, this is 2012 video. So it was exciting journey for us. What we learned is that the 3D is attention grabber and it's super powerful about learning. What we also learned, it's so difficult to scale this business. When I spoke with Alan Louis, who is co-founder of Imaging K12, who some of you know as the biggest early stage incubator for K-12 startups. He was talking me out of the education 2 years ago. So I'm happy that we survived, and I'm happy that we have a product, and I'm sensing that we would have a couple of exciting announcements about VR partnerships pretty soon. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Andre. Let's do one question, and then if everyone can be patient, we're just going to do, if you have a 1-minute pitch that you want to do, we'll have, just go ahead and come and line up and just start behind the speaker here. If you want to just like pitch something, if you want to have a vision that you're working on, you want to tell anyone about it, that'll be right after this. So one question for Andre here. Anyone from the crowd? What's been like the biggest challenge transitioning to VR? It seems like AR and iPad is their big thing.
I think that the biggest challenge is just the motivation, because the market is still not there. So just find the right channel partners who will help you to build a business around the VR. I guess that's the biggest challenge.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for
so much. Person, anyone want to come up?
There it is. Go. All right.
Howdy, my name is Christopher Phillip. I'm the e-learning director for the Climate Institute in Washington, D.C. I just came back from a month and a half in Hawaii at the National Disaster Preparedness Council, which you probably never heard of, and I didn't either, but they gave me this challenge coin, which is really cool. These are the guys that are based in Pearl Harbor. The project is Pacific Rim Survivability and Sustainability against disaster preparedness, not doing zombies on subways chasing pizza, but actually modeling things that mattered for the survival of the Pacific Rim. So if you have an affinity for efficient construction, water purification, energy generation, the things that really matter to sustain life, including agroforestry, please give me a shout. Again, my name is Christopher Phillip. I'm the e-learning director at the Climate Institute in Washington, D.C., climate.org. I'm understaffed. Climate.org, I'm understaffed. Thank you very much.
I'm Amol. I'm founder and CEO of VR Commerce, virtual reality e-commerce platform. We are like Shopify of VR. So we have two kinds of stores. One is the virtual store to sell the products in this 360 environment, virtual environment. We have another store which is basically a 360 photo store. So you can take the photo of the store and take the products or start selling the products online through our platform. We started demoing the product almost a week ago in the VR Expo, and right now we are looking for seed round. So if you want to see the demo, I want to see that how the payment transactions are done inside the VR, or if you want to see that how the stores are created in the VR to sell the products, I'll be standing there. We will be demoing a product there. Thank you.
Hello guys, this is Ahmet Recai. I am co-founder of Retinas VR. We are creating virtual contents for people who suffer from phobias. And we got a great team. We are based in Turkey. We are just looking for the partnership in here who is already experienced in medical stuffs, FDA processes. So if you want, you can contact me, retinasvr.com. So thank you.
Hi, I've got 1 minute, so I'm going to ask for a minute of silence. I'm actually quite serious. What you're hearing in the silence is the sound of the space, and that's something we didn't really talk about very much in terms of VR. What's so important is sound for presence. My name is Richard Warp. I'm a audio designer, composer, producer, run a studio called Intonic that is specialized in 360 immersive audio solutions. We are also looking to start to incorporate biofeedback into the situation because that is a very key drive of the emotional experience of VR. And this is something that is going to be very apparent when content starts getting out there, that having a 360 environment that responds to the person as they are in the space is very, very important. And so that's my mission, that is my passion. And if anyone wants to talk about sound for VR, I'm all ears. Sorry.
Good evening. Less of a pitch, more just an introduction. My name is Adam Lorimer. I currently work in the clean energy business, and I've got a growing interest in the applications of VR to disrupting our need for business travel, taking some cars off the road, making a very real impact on both climate change and the I think 36,000 deaths that are on US roads every year. So if anyone else in the room shares that interest, then I would love to talk to you. Next.
We're interested in using immersive technology, so not just VR, but for smart cities in the built environment. So that's not just architecture, that's construction, manufacturing, and others. So if anyone here is interested in chatting about that, please let's talk. And then also if anyone's interested in hackathons, I'd love to chat about that as well. So.
Hi, my name is Valentin, and I make a 3D avatar generator. So currently is Nicolas Cage juxtaposition in a Mad Max type costume. I've got several ideas what I'm doing with this avatar generation, and I'm partnering with several startups throughout this area. This is actually juxtaposition in AR as well. It's called Halogen. You can. This feature is not implemented into the App Store, but it will be soon. Point being, if you've got some ideas for something to do with avatars, for example, now I'm implementing 3D printing of the avatar that you're creating. And if you're interested in doing it, I own the entire code base, so I can do with this whatever the hell I please. And if you're interested, talk to me. Thanks.
Not fair, I can't pop in Cage. I'll make it quick. Jeff Scow, I'm the co-founder of Fishbowl VR. We do user testing for VR. So we've got a panel of more than 500 VR early adopters around the world. If you're interested in testing VR content, we'd love to have you, fishbowlvr.com. If you are a developer of game or non-gaming VR applications and want to get a better sense of what's working and what's not, check us out. Thanks.
Hey, I'm Steve with AdVR. We're just a recently funded startup here in San Francisco. We're working on making advertising and monetization solutions for developers and publishers. I'm looking to hire engineers right now, so if you're looking to get paid to do what you love, then hit me up or my partners in that. Thanks.
How's it going? My name is Elliot Plant, and I'm just starting out in the VR space. And I've been starting doing a lot of mobile development for VR, and I'm curious, for any of you who have experience building in the space, what sort of interactive controllers do you have or do you use for with mobile? Because I often find the restriction of being able to look at something on my phone or interact with something on my computer, but not both. So I'm curious if anyone has any great insights and some hardware you can connect. Talk to me later.
Yeah, find it out. And last one here, and then one last announcements.
John Fox, I'm from Helios Interactive. That's heliosinteractive.com, and we're getting slammed with a ton of jobs to do really fun VR pieces. We do everything from Lexus to Google to all kinds of different clients in the world. Medical, we do some things out at the stadiums, we do all kinds of stuff. So if you're a developer and you have some chops and are looking for some work, I'm looking for people to do it. Thanks.
Anyone else? All right, and did anyone have any of the pizza back there? If you did, raise your hand. Rachel from Angel Hack here brought that, so thank you to her, and she has an announcement to make as well.
Hello. So as you said, my name is Rachel. I work for a company called Angel Hack that plans hackathons. We operate a community of 97,000 developers worldwide. We probably do 100 plus hackathons a year. So the guy who's talking about hackathons, definitely talked. I don't know where he went. This weekend, we're doing a thermal imaging hackathon with FLIR Technologies. How many people have heard of FLIR? Okay, cool. So we're doing a thermal imaging hack starting on Friday, going all the way through Sunday at Impact Hub. There's going to be a lot of pizza. Even better, there's going to be a lot of cash prizes, and also they're not just looking for fresh hacks, they're also looking for people to integrate FLIR technology into existing apps. So if you already have a company or an app that you want to integrate thermal imaging into, I think it'd be a great hackathon to come to. There's going to be a lot of Lepton kits, a lot of FLIR ones, a lot of people nerding out on thermal imaging. And I have some flyers with free discount codes if you guys want to come. We'd love to see you there. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much to our hosts, Upload, the Upload Collective here, all the Upload crew, Liz, the co-organizer, and Alex, and all the speakers. Can't wait to see you guys next time. And if you have any feedback whatsoever, it's a work in progress. This is the third meetup we've done, so let me or Liz know, and we'll iterate on it, and we'll try and incorporate it in the next meetup. Thanks. Have a great night. And if you could clear out in the next 25 minutes or so and work your way downstairs to the bar. Cheers.